One day, while in Atlanta during Daring Abroad filming, we call an Uber, and guess who comes for us?
It's like yeah. So we can now.
A Kenyan operator by the name Allan Ngare, who recognizes me.
I've been seeing you in TV. When I was in Kenya, I used to see you a lot on TV. Alex Chamoda reporting from The Hague. I didn't even know that one time I would meet you and carry you in a foreign land.
He informs us that he is a university student, but he does taxi business as a side hustle.
We have some Kenyans who are also operating Uber, but now it's not very easy to get to them. Yeah.
Martin knows about the Daring Abroad series and he informs us about his cousin who is in the US Army. He suggests that he has an interesting Daring Abroad story. So we agreed to meet his cousin the following day. Yes, this is Allan Ngare, Martin's cousin. He comes with some gifts for us.
Yani inasaidia nini? Inasaidia hii ni ya maji. Unaweka maji sasa ile uko kwa field. Unakunywa maji, unafungua maji.
Allan begins his story by telling us how he came to the US.
Yeah, I came here a couple of years ago through Green Card. The Green Card lottery is it's a program, that the U.S. government has that give opportunity to a lot of people from different parts of the world. So I happen to be one of those people. Applied and it came through. So that's how I came over here with Green Card. I'm in the U.S. Army, and then apart from that, my civilian job is also in logistics. I'm a truck driver, so I drive for the post office as a civilian job.
Allan has also done work as a volunteer for humanitarian organizations. But his heart, he says, was all along in the army.
When my interest was there, I walked into the Air Force Base, spoke to a recruiter, and they took me through the whole program. I looked into where my interest was because my interest was in the aircraft. So it took me through the whole process. As a green card holder, you're a permanent resident. So when I came in, that was a part of the eligibility, to be in the U.S. Army. You had to be a permanent resident. So what happened is I first was to go to the Air Force because that's where my interest was, and then went through the whole process, and then I eventually turned, my interest became more into the Army, so I turned my interest into the Army. So I went, took the exam, because there has to be exam, you have to have a certain score. So I did the exam, I scored, my score was, pretty much high, so that's when, I was, selected to go to, to boot camp.
He explains the opportunities he has gotten by being in the army.
Basically, being in the army, they pay for your school, so they are paying for my university right now. And then apart from that, I have a health insurance, which is the most important thing, And, it's made me see the world, I travel all over the world, being in the army. And so it's given me a chance to, meet a lot of characters, a lot of different people, and just share my experience with the rest of the world.
At this juncture, let us learn more about the Green Card on our Miles Away segment before we continue with Allan and his cousin's story.
Our focus today on Miles Away is the coveted US Green Card and the benefits that are accrued to a holder of such a document. Officially known as a lawful permanent residency, green cards can be attained through the Diversity Visa Lottery Program, which awards over 50,000 slots each year. It may also be granted via application to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. The Visa Lottery Program is the easier of the two. A holder of such a document is referred to as a legal permanent resident. Unlike an ordinary visa, which only allows an individual temporary stay, a green card grants permission to live and work in the U.S. as a permanent resident. Contrary to popular belief, being a green card holder does not grant you automatic citizenship, but rather grants permanent residence for a maximum period of 10 years, after which it has to be renewed or replaced. A legal permanent resident has the opportunity to apply for citizenship after 5 years of residency. You can, however, lose this status and its privileges by your conduct. Such actions include criminal activity as well as absence from the country for an overextended period of time. The number of Kenyans who have won green cards through the visa lottery program over the years are more than 17,000. And that's miles away. I'm Michael Zimanji.
Allan won the green card lottery 5 years ago. He says even then, upon arrival, despite the fact that he already had a family living here, life was never easy like many would assume. Being a green card holder is just being a permanent resident. One literally has to start life from scratch despite one's level of education or certification from outside the US. Like many other Kenyans in the US, Allan does many side jobs despite being in the army.
So I drive trucks, deliver, from here, US, Canada, and I go to New York every week, like 4 times a week.
You're used to driving on these busy highways.
I love driving.
How is it?
It's a challenge, I think they say if you haven't driven in New York, then you haven't driven, so, the traffic there situation. But, it becomes like air, after doing it for so long, it just becomes like air. So, yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. I love it. Yeah, so,
how does one get that driving license?
The commercial license?
Yeah, commercial, yes.
Yeah. Basically, what you do is you have to go to a trucking school. So before you get that, you have to go to a trucking school. It's almost like 2 months. It's a 2-month course. So you go through through the school. You get it depends on what you want, because there's classes where you do buses, they're actually different commercial vehicles. You have the CDL, the class 10. So the class A is where you drive like tractor trailer, and then you have buses where you just a non-pulling vehicle. So my interest was in class 10, class A, so that's where I went to. So you go through a 2-month process, you go through the course, and then that's how you end up with it.
So you can't just come from Kenya with a similar license, commercial license, and you drive here, no?
No. You actually have to go through a trucking school, because it's a different process. There's a lot of different road signs. As a trucker, you're more vigilant. So it's not like a regular car. There's a lot of things you have to be observant.
And this is what he intends to do in the future.
Yeah, basically I wanted to do the officer program because I'm doing aircraft maintenance on the side, and so I want to be an aircraft engineer. So that's what I'm studying right now. So I'm looking at myself as an aeronautic engineer once I finish it.
Eventually, will you take the skills back home, or you are done with Kenya? Is there what Kenya will benefit?
I say I'm a global citizen, so I'm actually looking into getting into humanitarian field, like maybe United Nations, or Red Cross, because I'm already with the Red Cross. So I'm looking into being that global ambassador, just to be out there.
The two cousins, Allan and Martin, hope to work together towards mentoring the youth in Oyugis, where they come from. Martin is still in university. He's on full scholarship, but he explains that he has so many responsibilities, hence there was need to find work to do.
I had no choice because I have to work, because as the firstborn, a lot of people are looking up onto me, especially now that I'm in America. The brand name America. So I as the firstborn, we are three boys and 1 girl. So I have to pay fees for my younger brother and the other girl who is in college. So that is the reason as why I decided to work. And again, also to sustain myself, because I also have my personal issues to attend to.
He says he ventured into the taxi business because it would enable him manage his time better.
Uber is it's like your own boss. So you plan your time with the school days, and the class hours and your working hours.
And there are some life lessons he has picked. Driving on the roads in the US, he says, requires a lot of discipline.
If you commit a traffic offense here, you get a ticket. Not less than $50.
Which is about
5,000 Kenyan shillings.
Yes.
On the traffic lights, they installed CCTV cameras, which is very powerful. They just capture your number registration, your vehicle registration number, and your vehicle registration number entails all your details, your address. So what they do, they post the fine to your address, of which you are given a timeline to pay. If you don't pay, they suspend your driver's license, or they send a sheriff. They send you a warrant of arrest. Yeah.
Then
So after the warrant of arrest, that means you cannot drive, because that is where they will catch you.
as we wind up, our diaspora bite is from a Kenyan lawyer in the US, Miano Maina.
What happens with the military is you cannot be able to work for the US government, especially for the military, if you're not a US citizen. So what happens is if somebody has a green card or they are a student, and let's say especially the green card, you're a green card and you join the military, they have an expedited system to make sure that you become a US citizen as soon as possible so that you're able to work for the military in your capacity as a US citizen.